Rats sometimes have a bad reputation, but it's one they probably don't deserve. After all, not only do they show empathy toward companions in distress, scientists have now discovered that they will also help strangers.
What we did was we took one rat who was always the free rat, and then we had a stable of strangers. So on each day, and we do 12 days of testing, each day the free rat saw a different trapped rat. And what we saw was that they opened for strangers just like they were cage mates.
However, when these rats were tested with rats from another strain, in this case a black-caped variety, they would not help the stranger in distress.
That led us to think that there might be some kind of social bias where rats will only help rats who are similar to them. And to test this question, we paired two rats of different types and housed them together. And we found that once they were housed together, those rats were willing to do anything for each other. So they were willing to help each other, even though they weren't similar to each other.
To figure out whether helping behavior required familiarity with an individual or with a strain, the researchers housed albino rats with black-caped ones for 2 weeks. The albino rat was then rehoused with another albino rat before testing.
They still remember living with this one individual black-caped rat, and consequently, they ended up opening for the black-caped strangers. What that says is that the albino rat needs to know one individual of that type in order to extend a very pro-social feeling towards others that look like or smell like or feel like that individual.
So in other words, a diverse social environment made them act in a helpful manner towards others who are very different from themselves.
But what happens if they never meet themselves? What happens if they never have been exposed to another individual like themselves? So we sort of did a Jungle Book type experiment where we took the albino rats and we raised them from the day of birth in Long Evans litters.
So they grew up in a world where they had no exposure to their own kind. We found that rats who were raised in a different world than their own were not interested in helping rats of their own kind as adults. And this was a powerful demonstration that social experience was the only variable that was determining who rats choose to help and who they choose not to help.
Familiarity with the type of rat is clearly needed. And if they are not familiar with the type of rat, they don't help. And that includes even their own type. And so they won't help. If they were raised in a different strain environment, they will not help strangers of their own strain. But once they've met even just one individual of a different strain, they will extend helping toward others of that strain. And that's a really powerful message, that it really only takes one individual, a connection between one individual and another individual, to open up a world, to open up a whole group to that individual.